Last year I had a really cool idea for a character design series called Concept Quest. I would play a game, watch an anime, read a book, and then design a character that would fit in that world. It's a cool character design challenge, and it would help you understand how to create characters of your own. The only problem is I suck at character design. I can break down any number of character designs and tell you how and why they work, but when I have to make one from scratch, it gets a little bit harder. I imagine you have the same struggle. When you start to sit down and design your character, all these questions start coming to your mind that you don't really know the answer to. Like, should I start with their story? Do I start with a piece of unique reference to build the core of their design from? Should I design an iconic shape to make the character more impactful? Essentially, you start to get lost in these questions, and your character design suffers because of it. After struggling with this for a while, I found that there was one key idea that helped me move forward. And today, I'm going to demonstrate that idea so you can make characters of your own without being overwhelmed. Character design is probably the most desired job in the entertainment industry. You almost never see a position open for it because it's already filled by somebody. There's a huge range of styles to choose from, and while the basic principles are the same, there are many different ways to focus on great character design. And that's why, especially as a beginner, when you sit down to design a character, it can feel extremely overwhelming. Originally, I planned to do this Concept Quest episode for Pokemon Violet, but I got bored of the game before I could make any meaningful progress, so I decided to abandon that idea. But I did hold on to the inspiration for the new character design from two incredibly cool Pokemon. I decided I was going to make a Fortnite skin from there, but I again got quickly bored with the game, and this piece was headed for the work in progress or WIP graveyard. I did have fun bouncing around and beating up guys though. Then finally Wacom reached out because they needed content for the end of March, and I decided to resurrect this character design from the WIP graveyard and give it a proper finish. But I was still plagued with the same problems when I first started it. How do you come up with a character? It starts in your mind. You experience something and it sparks something visual. You start to imagine a cool combination that you've never seen before. Maybe you play Overwatch and you have an idea for a fire-based hero that blinds and burns his enemies like Phoenix from Valorant. Maybe you just watched a new season of Bleach and you have an idea for a really cool Shinigami, but it has the lightning powers of Raiden from Genshin Impact. There are a million combinations that you could come up with, but they need you to bring them to life. That's where the hard part begins. Coming up with ideas is fun, but if you can't get past that stage, it just becomes extremely frustrating. And that's where I got stuck. After looking through reference to get ideas and studying from it, I didn't really know what to do next. How do you design a character? How do you explore an idea that gets really complex? Not only is there an endless amount of combinations you can think of, there are lots of different ways to start a character design. What I found was the simplest way I could think of, especially for beginners, and that's to find something to focus your character around. Don't lose it no matter how much you add or subtract from whatever you're creating. If the original intent is lost, you have to find a way to pull it back. Chances are you're going to come up with a lot of cool character ideas, and you can always use those for new characters down the line. This one that you're creating right now has a specific focus. Don't try to force a combination of two separate ideas that's not working. You can always make that into two different characters. My composition and color teacher would always tell us that in an illustration, everything works to serve the focal point. It gives your composition focus and direction so the viewer knows exactly where to put their eyes. This is where you put the most care, detail, and attention into your piece. Character design is no different. Your character is a composition, albeit trapped in the silhouette of a character. When you design it, make sure everything serves that initial intent, your focus. For this design, I was inspired by those two new Pokemon characters. The focus was fire and armor. Maybe I take some of their shape language, maybe I take some of their color palette, but I always take the basic idea and focus on it to complete my own character. Fire and armor. Everything in that character design emphasizes that idea. This is just the easiest process when you have to focus on way too many things as a beginner and you need a way to simplify the process. When you get better and internalize some of this knowledge, you can find different ways of creating characters that will come up with really cool ideas. There's no right way to start a character, but there is an easier way to do it, especially when you have a lot of problems to focus on as a beginner. You're learning so many things. It's easier when you can compartmentalize stuff until you internalize a few things. Focus on one thing you can control and try to make it better. As you expand your skills and learn, you'll be able to handle more and more things, until designing a character is as easy as breathing. And the real challenge will be making it more unique and impactful every single time. If you want to really challenge yourself, design a cast of characters. It'll push you beyond just character design, but also into storytelling and world building. And it's just a lot of fun. That's all for today's episode. I hope you enjoyed it, and thank you to Wacom for sponsoring this video and resurrecting this character from the Whip graveyard. Comment below if you have any questions about character design. I would be happy to help. And have a happy and healthy creative process.